Hello everyone, today I sport this goofy look to bring you the Betafpv Meteor75 Pro HD kit. This is a ready to fly kit, and while it ready to fly we oftentimes think as, entry sort of starter. This might be a kit that you're interested in just because you want to try their new P1 video system. Do keep in mind that it does require P1 goggles in order to see the video transmission from this quad. You may be interested in this quad all by itself as well. The radio can be used on other Express LRS quads that you might have. Should bind right up, provided the ELRS version is close enough that it will do so. And they're also talking about, or it's rumored to be, a VRX available for the P1 video transmission system. I have heard, but I don't know for certain, that this might also be compatible or the same as HGLRC's video system, but make sure you do some research on that. While I'm showing it here to you, I am far from an expert on this video system. This is my first time diving into the P1, but something else you should know is it's not compatible, the video system that is, with HD0, with Caddx Walksnail, with DJI, or analog. Those are all separate systems, require different goggles. Okay, not only do you get the requirements for a ready-to-fly kit, such as goggles, radio, and the quad itself, you also get 2 batteries. They are 580s, just like this. They came with the kit. And I can confirm, while they don't come with the kit, that the 480s and the 680s do also fit in the battery tray for the Meteor75 Pro HD. Gimbal protector for your radio. These are plastic pieces that go in these little slots on the top here, so it kind of looks like a knight's helmet. It's fine for when it's sitting on the shelf, but I would just take them off if you're flying. You do get a spare frame, a USB-C cable, as well as a charger, tiny little screwdriver, extra props, some extra screws, and we get this little USB dongle. Because it doesn't have a USB port, it's just got that connector, which is pretty normal now. You get a manual on the Light Radio 4 SE, manual on the VR04 goggles, and a Meteor75 Pro P1 manual. And of course, QR codes that'll take you over to the Betafpv website with this information and more. For our flights, we're going to start outside. This is kind of an evening time flight. It's about 7:45, so it's not necessarily dark out by any stretch. Also, the white text on screen, the Betaflight OSD elements, as well as the P1 video system, that stuff does not natively appear in the recording right out of the goggles. So I use the Walksnail OSD tool that has been updated in order to show you that flight statistic information. This is a representative of kind of what you see in the goggles, but the font that I use doesn't completely replicate how it looks in the goggles. But the information is there for you to take a look at, as far as flight time, flight mode, battery consumption, throttle position, Express LRS information. That's all there. It just doesn't look as nice as it would in the goggles itself. So just keep that in mind for these flights, that I did reprocess this to include that information. Of course, this is a 75mm whoop, and we are going to have an inside flight. I think inside is going to be a little bit more challenging with 75 at this weight with the second board and the HD system. Although, again, another rumor, I think at a trade show, Betafpv had a all-in-one flight controller with their video system all integrated, so it'll be interesting to see that. That'll be a cool thing. Also, I think they showed it at that same trade show, a VRX. So if you have goggles that accept HDMI input, you can use the VRX to explore the P1 video system. Don't get this confused with any of the other HD systems. It's all starting to kind of get difficult to keep track of it, especially if you're not really closely following the FPV developments. This is relatively new. I think this has been out 4 or 5 months, but this is my first experience with it, and I was pretty happy with the video itself. There is some latency. That's another thing that I have to kind of mention, that if you compare this to HD0 or analog, that you will experience what we refer to as latency. So the difference between the glass to glass between the camera on the quad and it's showing it to you in the goggles. That really comes to light for me inside when I first started getting this inside and flying it around. I could really feel that latency, and it varies. So when it comes to flying in tighter places, that variable latency can present some challenges that you wouldn't have with other video systems like HD0, like analog, that have almost no latency or such little latency that we really can't perceive it. So that's something to keep in mind. I have heard through various social media aspects that some people say you can't really fly this video system in tight spaces because of the latency. That's something that you will have to kind of judge on your own. I know it's going to be very difficult if you're just getting started in FPV Some people adjust, as I do. It takes me a few flights, specifically when I was flying inside, but when you're flying outside, you have a greater margin for error. But some people never adjust, or they have a kind of a nauseating feeling, or just kind of a detached feel from the quad itself, which can make FPV even harder if you're getting started. But the only way to really tell if one is susceptible to that latency issue is to actually be able to try it out yourself. And if you don't have a group of FPV pilots that might have this or other video systems that you can try, we're kind of just stuck at going with what you feel you will want and hoping for the best. This kit itself is $320 for everything that I've already introduced, including a case, which I did not show on screen. It is a case with a metal zipper as well as a handle, so you can carry that to a spot if you're going to pack to fly or go to a particular spot that you want to. I have a lot of crashes, especially flying inside and getting used to that variable latency. So the extra frame is nice, especially if you fly aggressively and you tend to bang things around, or if you fly in what they call bandos, abandoned buildings. An extra frame is nice to have on hand. I don't think they've included an extra frame in other kits, but I could be wrong about that. But it was a nice little add-on that doesn't cost them much, and it sure is handy if you do need to transfer everything over. You see there the flight ended, 4:09 on the flight time, 3:59 on the voltage. Could have flown a little bit longer. Moving on to our inside flight, this is where it got challenging for me, and it took me about, I would say, at least 4 flights of pretty furious crashing before I started to really feel the latency out and adjusting. Specifically when I go downstairs and I get around the HVA system, our where we have our hot water heater, our air conditioner, that system, because it's metal down there, I suspect, and just a tougher RF place to fly down there. I've seen it on various video systems. That really kind of threw me out. I crashed a lot down there around the basement door. If you're not familiar with the house, there's several maps out that you can fly my house, whether it's inside or out. Uncrashed was the last one I tried out, and I thought it was pretty impressive how well they replicated the inside of the house. It's not, a true one-to-one, as no map is going to be, but I thought with all the different elements that we have inside the house, it took an awful lot of work. And some of you have seen that and noted that. So if you like to fly inside, specifically with HD video systems, I would definitely, in all cases, encourage people starting out to use a simulator, because it helps you get familiar with the controls and how the drone works, and then move into actual flight and starting that actual flight outside before you try to go inside. Of course, this does have an adjustable camera angle, and if you're starting out, you probably want to start out with a fairly flat camera angle. So that's something that you want to consider as you start your FPV journey. But if you're a veteran and you're just looking to explore the P1 video system, you might be interested in this kit. Do your accounting of the value of things. But to get the goggles and the quad itself, maybe you're interested in the quad too. You might want to pursue this kit and then maybe use the radio if you already have a favorite radio. Strictly for simulator use, or you might want to pass it on to someone else that to help them get started. But again, you want to kind of do a part-by-part accounting of whether it's worth it for you or not. You may find this on Prime Day on Amazon coming up. I think that starts later on this week if I get this video edited and out. See that door? I hit that door. I hit that door a bunch. I know it's kind of a slow turn that I'm trying to take there, but that down there in that area, that's where the latency kind of changes, and it really caught me out a bunch of times. But I'm going to go right back down the hallway just to prove to myself that, yeah, I can get through there from time to time. But that was a pretty minor crash, but I had a lot of other crashes, especially in those first 3 to 4 flights, just getting used to the latency. It's nice to be able to fly with this sort of clarity. I think that's something that especially people who are used to the DJI camera and other manufacturer camera drones, they really desire this. But I have been flying FPV for so long that I prefer performance over image quality. I also want the lower latency because I like to fly faster. Specifically in the house, I don't really do a whole lot of what we would consider freestyle. It's much more of a stricter sort of racing of just whizzing around the house. No, we did not buy this house with FPV in mind. We bought this house getting close to 18 years ago. That was 8 years before I ever started doing anything RC or FPV related, specifically with this YouTube channel. So it was just a happy accident that we bought a house with an open floor plan. I also can tell you I've got a short that I include in every video that talks about my video reception, because a lot of people have questions about that. And the spot I sit at the kitchen table is very important across pretty much all video systems, to making sure I get the best signal quality as well as the lowest possible latency I can, because that's a central open area. And the construction of our house, I think, is also pretty friendly for FPV, in that it's traditional US kind of newish sort of construction, 80s sort of construction of wood studs with sheetrock, versus, you know, if you're flying in an industrial apartment that is concrete or metal studs, that RF environment is going to be wildly different than what you see here. But I thought the quad flies well. You know, I've shown you a few minor crashes. I hit the lamp earlier. Some people think that, or wonder about the durability of those lamps. I can wang those lamps pretty good, and they're heavy. Those bases are glass. They do not move. And thankfully, I haven't created any dents in the lamp shade that I haven't been able to just pop out with my hands. And my wife has not said anything about any damage, so I'm good there. Of course, you know, happy wife, happy life. That is not a cliche. That is something that is very, very true. We try to keep each other both happy. But for an HD system that's in a kit with everything ready to fly at $320, I think that's pretty reasonable, especially if you compare it to something like DJI. I think the DJI prices, from what I have seen in traditional FPV kits, not like talking about the Neo or the Avata, stuff like that, that is not just competitive, but it's lower in price than I have seen. Again, there could be special deals that I wasn't familiar with. But our inside flight ended. You see there 5 minutes and 19 seconds, and our battery voltage on the left at 355. So that's about where I'd want to end that flight. Let's start off talking about the goggles itself. A couple things about the goggle design. This is kind of a traditional goggle design. Of course, with other goggles that have a slimmer profile, like you might be thinking about the Sky Zone series, the 04 series, 04X, 04C, 04O, those, and the HD0 goggles. They're much slimmer profile. They're not, I call these box goggles. I think other people just call maybe they call these visors as well. But this is pretty traditional as far as how it's made up. It doesn't fit my face especially well. I have found that to get the screen kind of in place, I kind of had to push it. I don't know if you can see this. I kind of have to push the goggles out away from my face and then get this nose piece in kind of the right spot to hold the goggles. So I get quite a bit of light leak down through here of my cheeks on both sides. Light leak is one of those things that we always talk about when we're trying to kind of give an overview of stuff. But when the screen's on and you're looking at what the camera is presenting you, I can't think of an instance where I actually noticed the light leak. The light leak is something that you notice pre-arm, pre-flying sort of stuff. I could be just one of those things where I don't notice it and other people do, but when I'm in the goggles, regardless of the goggles, I don't see a light leak. They did put the battery in the back, which it takes 18650 cells, and it has a USB port right there, so you can charge it right there. And then the battery has, let's see if I can press the button here and still show it to you. If you press the battery, it gives you a measure then to turn it on. There, now it's on. Of course, I don't have the barrel connector plugged in, so it's not technically on. But that brings me to the next point. If you plug in the barrel connector when you've got your antenna down, now you're hosed. You can't move the antenna up. You can only move this antenna up. So if you want to, as it beeps to tell me it's on, you have to unplug the goggles in order to get this antenna up. There's just no way around it. So if you've done all your pre-flight stuff and you're in the goggles and you're down and your reception isn't so good, it might be because this antenna is lowered like this. You need to unplug and raise the antenna up and then plug it back in. The DVR, which I showed you, seems to work normally, and it's got a very basic menu inside. I did find when it came to my reception, specifically in my backyard, because that's where I started, is that I was on channel 1 and my reception was not that good. But I moved to channel 3 and it was much, much better. Of course, it's got on, and it tells you this on screen, pre-arm, it's in standby mode. I believe you can disable that, but I did not, which takes it from a lower power up, I believe, is what they do when you arm. It comes out of standby mode, and then you're kind of in the full-fledged video system. So what I would do typically, one, I change to channel 3, and then when I arm, I kind of let it sit there on the table. And of course, air mode's on, so the props are spinning. Let it sit there for a 2 count or something like that before I would take off. And you probably saw a little bit of that in the flight footage, because I felt like that helped the video stabilize, because I did notice sometimes if I armed and took right off, that I really got kind of discombobulated because the video wasn't very smooth just yet. It wasn't like fully out of standby mode. There could be a way to disable standby mode. I did not initially see it when I was in the Goggle, but you use this little joystick to kind of drive the menu. It looks nice, way nicer than what we had back in the day when it came to our analog goggles. Let me find my glasses. Also, something else I wanted to show you, and I'll measure these in just a minute. If you're a glasses wearer, something you may want to consider is these do fit inside the glasses. I'm almost got them against the plastic up front where your eyes would not be. So I've got my glasses all the way in, and if I measure them with the calipers, measuring from all the way out on each arm, I get 136.5 millimeters. So that, at least that size, will fit down inside the goggles. Of course, if you look at the quad very closely, you'll see a lot of grass stains. That's because I had a lot of crashes outside as well. Very durable in my experience. The camera protection is not outstanding, as it is really with any of these HD systems, because you do want a really wide field of view so you can see as much as possible. Whether it be for just cruising cinematic style or for going faster. The wider view, the more information our eyes get, the better we can fly in various areas. Sorry, I've got some noise going on upstairs, but that isn't completely hanging out there out front. But you know, it's available to be damaged if we were to wang directly on the camera. But I did not have any direct impact to my camera. It seemed to take all the abuse that I could handle it just fine. Of course, I never even used a spare frame. This one's still intact. Also note the connector here is Betafpv's own BT20, which is a very standard connector for batteries. You don't necessarily have to go with stick batteries itself, whether they just come with they don't come with this one, they come with the 580s. You can get batteries that have little wires and leads on them. Those should work as well, but do be careful about those leads getting up into your prop, especially after a crash. That can be problematic on some quads. You crash and you want a turtle mode to try to get out of there, or you're in a tough spot where you've got a turtle mode on top of a building or something, and you get a wire stuck up through here, and that can be problematic. So keep that in mind along your path. As far as the charger go, it's very inexpensive. It's something that they give you to get started. It's not something that I think you'll keep using for very long if you're into whoops at all. The tester, you will keep the test side, which I can plug one in here so you get a little idea of the readout. So when you plug into the tester, oh, it's not going to show us this. Too bright. There we go. It doesn't flash like that to my eyes, but gives you an idea about the size of the readout. You'll probably move on to another sort of charger, like the ViFly Whoop Store. Really nice. Charge 6 batteries at a time. Or the Hexacharger Pro, and they also have a non-pro version of this. These chargers are nice because you can charge more batteries at a time. They also charge faster depending upon your power source. And they give you the ability to storage charge, which if you're not going to be flying on a daily basis, storage charging is really important to the long-term health of your batteries. And of course, this is the box that it all comes in. It comes shipped inside this box. It fits everything that comes in this video, and it fits neatly. I think I said it was a metal zipper. It's not a metal zipper. The outside zipper part is metal, but I believe the rest of it is a plastic. But it does have a little handled carrying case to make it easy if you do go out to fly, as well as you can turn this, sit this down in your grass if you're in grassy area, and then you can that can be your takeoff and landing spot. Keep the grass out of those props, because when you're flying little guys, it's easier to get the grass inside. And that is the Meteor75 Pro HD P1 ready to fly kit. If you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. Down in the video description, I will have a link to wherever this kit is available. Support your shop that you might be interested in. With those links, I may or may not earn a commission. I'll link wherever I want to on the internet. Wherever I can find it, really doesn't even have to be where I want to. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.